About to start.
Good evening and welcome to this edition of the Untitled Sports Show. I'm your host, Earl Basin. Joining me as co-host, Jason Ford. And this evening's guest is the current president of the Bermuda Olympic Association, who has decided not to seek re-election in the upcoming elections that would have taken place last year due to somebody's turning off.
Mine's on, not mine.
Okay. However, due to the postponement and delayed Olympics, the IOC allowed NOCs to withhold the elections for the year in which the Bermuda Olympic Association will host their elections. If I'm correct, is December 5th?
9th.
December 9th.
Yeah.
December 9th. Well, Judy, I want to say thank you very much for taking the time out to join us this evening. We're going to reflect back on your time, not just as the president, but prior to becoming the president, work that was done by the Bermuda Olympic Association, and kind of you carried on the torch for a number of years. But we'll start off by asking what made you get involved in administration of the Bermuda Olympic Association?
Well, Earl, thank you very much, both of you, for having me this evening. It's an honor and a privilege. I have to be honest with you that I did quite a bit of administration when the Bermuda Ladies Hockey Association had its own entity. I was public relations officer, VP, and then I was their president for about 10 years before I retired altogether. And then, of course, I've also been president of the Bermuda Cancer and Health Association. So my feet were well ensconced in administration. And I guess sport has always been part of my life. Charitable organizations been part of my life. And I just wanted to give back to organizations that gave so much to me, especially in sport, that allowed me the privilege to represent my country at an international level. And as I said, I've had 25 wonderful years with the Bermuda Olympic Association, good, some bad, some indifferent, but it's been a learning curve. And when Austin Woods, who was the president at that time, asked me in '96 would I be interested to come on as a member in my own right, I didn't hesitate. And at that time, my husband, Campbell, supported me well over 200%. And that was the beginning of my journey to success through the Bermuda Olympic Association.
And eventually taking up different posts within the organization before becoming the president in 2008. That journey from 96 to say 2008, what's some of the things that developed throughout the executive that kind of pushed you towards, okay, it's now time for a new challenge, a new direction, or just carrying that torch on?
I think one of the things that some people lose sight of, you can get comfortable in a position, and therefore if it's not broke, don't fix it. But I think one of the things that I found being an athlete myself over the years is that the Bermuda, I wanted to be an athlete's president and be in the shoes of what athletes expect of their overall organization. I wanted to bring national sports governing bodies closer within the family, build the relationship up, build up trust, transparency, and accountability. And it didn't happen overnight, Earl. I can assure you, during my time as Secretary General, even from the office point of view, I was not privileged in my private life to have a personal secretary. And when I took over the position of Secretary General, I told Mr. Hoskins at the time, who was the president, I'm more than happy to do the job, but I need administrative help. And that was the beginning of change for the Bermuda Olympic Association, broadening our horizons to get more people involved on how the organization would run, reach out to everybody, and have a focal point that was strictly the BOA office and not a president's office. So that's when we took over the what was it, International Center, I think it was called then. We there. So that was the beginning of the change of the Olympic Association, ensuring that athletes, administrators could come and discuss with the executive board issues that they had, and put together committees that would help broaden the aspect of the Olympic movement in Bermuda.
Jay?
Well, first things first, first thing I want to say thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.
Because what you've done has been a tremendous job. But not only that, you stood up to be accounted for. And, sometimes athletes might just leave the sport altogether. And you found that we needed people like you to come back to the sport. So 25 years, hip hip hooray for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Before we talk about some of the relationships you've had over the years, athletes, numerous athletes and teams, let's talk a little bit about the Olympic movement from the time you got into it, some of the sports that were there who's no longer there, and what has it become now? What have you seen some of the major changes during your time of administration?
Well, I think one of the key things that we, I hate to say that, but money is an issue. And obviously the government has tried their best to ensure that there is sufficient money for national sports governing bodies, the Olympic movement, to have money to help develop their athletes and their administration. But we're in a difficult time right now. The IOC, however, has tremendous programs called the Olympic Solidarity Program. And one of the things that I am very happy about with what happened through my administration is that we've tapped into the Olympic Solidarity programs, where athletes and administrators can now represent their country because things are covered for them, or people on the executive board who are keen on different areas of expertise like medical or marketing. They can go to seminars that are put on by the IOC to broaden their horizons and bring that knowledge back to try and implement it into the Olympic movement. Fostering relationships in the Olympic movement is very, very important. And I think that's one of the good things about having 4-year cycles. It allows you to build up a relationship either through the IOC or the Pan Am or the CGF. And we've actually talked about saying to some of the national governing bodies about their constitution, so that there is not this in and out door situation and then having to re-educate people. It's difficult. Volunteerism is very difficult. And that's one thing that is dwindling very hard in here. To give back is difficult. I mean, I love what I do, but there comes a point in time in your life when you say, there ain't much more I can do. And I'm very fortunate that the mandates that I had put forward over the 12 years that I've been president, there's only one thing that I've not achieved, and that is having our own Olympic house in Bermuda. And I think the reasons for that are obvious. The economic climate now, more the cost of purchasing land and building compared when I chaired the capital campaign for Bermuda Cancer and Health. It is easy to raise money for sensitive issues that hits everybody. Now you need to market. Why should we support the Bermuda Olympic Association? Not only to support athletes, but it's important that the people who run the organization, you have the quality, skillful people to move the organization forward. Not everybody wants to give back for the love of giving back. People now want a bang for their buck. It's difficult, but if you love what you do, you find a way to move the organization forward. And it was not an easy decision for me to step down because I love what I do. And I had discussed this with my husband before he passed. And change is important, and new ideas are important. And I like to think whoever the new president will be and the executive board member will, strategically plan what the next, it's only 3 years now to 2024, strategically plan what is in the best interest of the Bermuda Olympic Association, their members, which is the national governing bodies, and the athletes within. And I think we may be fortunate to see some maybe new ideas come forward.
One of the biggest challenges that we see, especially at administrations of even national sports governing bodies, is that volunteer person. But they always seem to, people always look at those volunteers as full-time people that are there all the time, have all the information, get everything right. But putting your hand up back in '96, did you think the challenge would be as much as it has been over the 25 years?
That's a good question, Earl. You know, I can't say that I could foresee where I would be today, to be quite honest with you. I have to tell you, there are key people that have helped me along the way. May he rest in peace, Mr. Philip Gashard, who has got to be one of the best chef de missions that the Bermuda Olympic Association has ever had, along with an volunteered administrator who worked for the Olympic movement 7 days a week. And he was passionate about what he did. And he did it without any questions from me as to what he should be doing. If we've learned something from Philip. But what Philip and I did discuss long before he passed is that we do need a full-time Secretary General. It is a day-to-day administrative job that I don't know how, actually, if we didn't have Bramwin Smith King today, how we would manage. Sports has grown so much. Not only is it just the basic 4 festivals, now there's the youth festivals within them. So you're talking about 8 festivals in a calendar year. And then it's mind-boggling what the expectations are. And it's our job to try and find ways and means to find the financial resources to help these athletes go off, compete, and then come back and qualify and represent their country at the highest level possible. Not an easy task in today's world. Not an easy task in today's world.
Jay?
No, I'm just listening to you a bit. I'm just thinking, especially if, we came out of recession. As soon we started coming out of recession, then it's a pandemic. So we know a lot of the sponsorship money has been drying up quite a bit. But just going back, just listening to you speak about your tenure there, transparency, how important was that to get the buy-in, not only with the athlete, but also all the stakeholders, because everybody has to recognize the problems first before you can actually address them. Yeah.
That accountability and transparency in this during my tenure was of high importance, because the perception is the executive decisions were all made and no one knew anything about them, and that's further from the truth. We pass on information on a daily basis to national sports governing body. They're all volunteers too, who have a full-time job. So prioritizing your work, regardless of what level you are in sports administration, is not an easy task. But my philosophy has always been, we have an open door. If you have a concern or there's something you want to come to us about, or how can we assist you, the door was always open. Worked for some people, didn't work for others. Decisions you make are not always popular decisions, but you have to stand firm by making a decision which you believe to be in the best interest of all concerned. Are they popular? No, they're not. But the Olympic Association is about the quality of representation to try and get athletes to reach podium level. Not everybody believes in that philosophy, but if you look at the journey of what the likes of Flora and herself, Jessica Lewis as a Paralympian, these things didn't happen overnight. I have watched Flora since 2006 in her first triathlon in the Commonwealth Games, and the trials and tribulations that she went through, quitting the sport, coming back to the sport. And we, the Bermuda Olympic Association, have been behind her 100% of the way and saying, we're here for you. What can we do? But one of the other things that we had to do is tell our athletes, unfortunately, we don't have the money, all the money that you would like to have. And now you need to go out and market yourself as to the athlete that you want to be in representing your country at the highest level. And that's the things that the likes of Flora and Tyrone and a few other athletes did. And that's not an easy task in today's world where money is not that flush as it used to be.
Well, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we'll have more with Judy Simons,
Sure.
president of the Bermuda Olympic Association. We'll be right back.
John Barrett and Son, Bermuda's leading distributor of fine beverages, have brought us something fresh and exciting this month. Mystic Juices, skillfully blended for captivating flavor and loaded with nutritional value. Mystic Juices not only taste remarkably good, one serving will supply an abundance of vitamins A and C, more than the certified measure needed to meet your daily requirements. This month we're featuring delicious and nutritious Mystic Juices in an enticing range of flavors in 64 and 16-ounce bottles. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
My inspiration to write this book has to do with empowering. I want people to understand what it looks like when you are in a position when you don't have the tools around you. If you know me or don't know me, the game, the beautiful game of football, soccer, is and always was a way out. Still fearful on what to do, what would happen if I say something.
What can we do in this book to incorporate tools to help specifically our group of young people in Bermuda?
Could you imagine doing a read with little people and breaking everything down for them and having them to have a voice and having conversation pieces, if it's chapter by chapter?
Welcome back. Judy, we in this country have achieved a lot of success in sport. Mm-hmm. Some celebrated, some not celebrated. When you look at the accomplishments of someone like Nicki Saunders, who still currently holds the Commonwealth Games high jump record, and many other feats, you had world champions in Brian Wellman, the likes. Do you think we actually have done enough to celebrate our accomplishments? As a country, not as a BOA, but as a country.
No. That's difficult. And I know really where you're going on all of this. Different governments have different philosophies. Mm-hmm. What happened 40 years ago compared to what happens today, it's very, very difficult. It's very unfortunate that the athletes who we have celebrated today and those of yesteryear who should have been rewarded in some way, I can't speak to that. It's very, very unfortunate. And I can only talk about where we are today. And I got to be honest with you, the Bermuda Olympic Association has a fantastic relationship with the Ministry of Sport. And I can tell you honestly, with the current minister, we have had many good conversations with him. What's happened in the past is an unfortunate situation. Can we right it? I think we need to recognize them and they were mistakes made. Let's be honest with you. There were mistakes made. How can we rectify them? I think we need to just sit down, take our time, and say, why haven't we celebrated these athletes the way we should have, as we have done today? And yes, Flores won us a gold Olympic medal. You cannot take that away with her. But as you quite rightly say, there are other athletes who have risen to the podium. I mean, Brian was ranked 6th in the world, for goodness sake, in triple jump. I'm glad to see that the runway at National Sports Center is named after him. And I think, maybe the Ministry of Sport, in conjunction with a few of maybe the Olympic movement, should form a commission and say, let's review the history of our sporting achievements. And is there something that we can do to recognize them who are worthy of that? I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there as a conversation piece. You can only apologize for so much that has taken in the past. And I'm really sorry for those who have not been awarded the accolades that they should rightly have deserved. But I think we need to learn from this and how we can move forward so that when the next great athlete comes along, they get the just rewards from the country, the government of the day that they so rightly deserve. And this should have been a lesson to have been learned on how to treat our athletes who have given us the name that we so rightly deserve as being one of the smallest but best countries in the world in diversified sports, not in any one sport, diversified sports, and even in team sports, so we've got to learn from the mistakes that we made. And, I'm willing to have a conversation with the ministry and the whole 9 yards, because there are athletes who deserve to be rewarded in some way.
I only ask that because we have, we've celebrated Flora winning the gold medal.
Yeah.
But prior to her winning the gold medal, she was a multiple world champion.
That's correct.
Multiple
That's very correct. Correct.
We have several people who are multiple world champions in their sport. Yeah. I think that's where I think we need to lean on the celebrating what they've accomplished in their sport. But because not every sport is recognized in the Olympics. So to become a world champion in your sport, I think that's where we need to, as a country, start celebrating our athletes.
I agree. And I think and the conversation is needed. Mm-hmm. It's not going to happen overnight. And, one of the questions I would say is what's happened to the Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
With all due respect, it started off with gangbusters. Where are we today with this? We haven't had a celebration in how long now? With a couple of years. Yeah. Many years. So I think that needs to be looked at very seriously. If you're going to have a Hall of Fame, and if there's a criteria for that and how often you should be recognizing people, somewhere we've missed the boat there, because athletes who have not been recognized should be recognized within the Hall of Fame.
Sure. Jay?
I love this conversation because, we're acknowledging some of the mistakes of the past.
Yep.
And trying to right them.
Yep.
But one thing that I think that we're missing with this equation is the youngsters, the kids who are coming through.
Yeah, actually, that's a very good point.
Because the only way your legacy carries on is through the youngsters.
Yeah. And these youngsters want to emulate their stars, and I guess I'm going to have to say Nicki, Clarence Hill. What happened with him is very unfortunate. And I think that if he had been so rightly recognized back 40 odd years ago, maybe the boxing program would be in a different place where it is today. I don't know. But I think if the history was there for Clarence through the country, then there'd be youngsters saying, I want to be another Clarence Hill. Yeah. And I think that's where, people want to emulate their heroes, and I think that's where the bigger countries do so well. And it's something that we need to recognize. And for me, how seriously does our country take sports? And I'm talking about our government, because at the end of the day, that's who we have to turn to get assistance to recognize our athletes, get our youngsters overseas, because we're limited in what we can do here. And as much as we try to, through gymnastics down in St. David's, and I'm going to jump all over the place, we do not utilize our National Sports Center properly. We should be looking on how do we utilize the swimming pool better? How do we utilize the track better? How do we utilize the hockey facility better? And we should, and when I say you, I'm talking about the country or the NSGBs, we should be talking about bringing teams and athletes in here and having tri-country competitions so these youngsters can see what it takes to become a great athlete. One of the biggest things I was so unhappy about is when we had Jackie Joyner-Kersee here in 2016. And of course, we had that hurricane come through and she wasn't able to do her program. I mean, she is one of the greatest athletes of all times. And I think kids, if they'd had a chance to listen to her and see what she went through to become the superstar that she did, we could have done more. Same in the tennis world. There are great tennis players who have retired. We need to tap into them, and it costs money, but bring these people in, do clinics. And we used to do that many, many years ago. We had superstars do competitions here and give clinics. And for some unknown reason, we've totally lost that altogether. And it's true. I am glad that I grew up as an athlete myself in the time that I did, because even in my hockey world, when I represented Bermuda at World Cups and at the Pan Am Games, I was among the creme de la creme. And maybe that's what made me get into the administration, thinking this is what I could do for my own organization. So we have to come to Jesus and sit down and talk. What do we want to do for the youngsters of Bermuda going forward?
Sure. Jay?
It's amazing because you mentioned the word hero, and I've always said the Olympics is like, and I've heard it through the Olympic movement, is our modern day heroes.
Yep.
You know, over that month, you can get a person that you might not even never knew who they were, and at the end of that month, here's a hero. Here's not just locally, not nationally, but a
globally.
A global hero.
Yeah, global hero. Yeah.
I've always said, like, sports, even I've commentated, sports is the true reality show. You get to see an athlete, especially if you're a person like you up close, trials and tribulations, and most of the time overcome them to even get to this point.
Yep.
I'm going back. You said 1996 you started?
Yep. Right after the Atlanta Games.
I was just going to say that was the Atlanta Games. I was at those games.
Yeah.
So just talk about some of those off the top of your head. What was the easiest Olympics to administrate?
Oh, God.
The easiest one.
Jason.
There hasn't been one yet.
There hasn't been one yet. And Earl's laughing, but there is not one festival that we participate is easy. The work that has to go on, athletes is one aspect, but what we as administrators, whether it's an NSGB or the Olympic movement, administratively, what we have to do to get our athletes to the game would boggle your mind.
You need to know that stuff. Okay, so what's the best location?
Oh, God.
That stood out.
You want me to be honest with you?
Yeah.
Beijing was awesome. 2008. They put on a games that will be, in my mind, forever. Forever. They were a class act. But every games, Olympic Games has you can't take away from London. London did a great job as well. I mean, I know the president at the end of each, when the flag handover, says this is the best Olympic Games ever. but I think you all have personal experiences, and whether that's through the organizing committee of the Olympic Games, whether it's your attaché that you have, make sure that you have everything that you want, and then performances by the athletes themselves. I mean, take, for example, this last games, Dara in his rowing. That young man, first Olympic Games, finished 18th in the world. And not a lot's being said about his accomplishments. I'm not trying to take away the floor. She deserves the accolade. But that young man proved what he did to get himself to these games and turned 18th. And he came back after the games and said, 2024. You don't hear that very often. You get Olympians become Olympians, and then they call it a day straight away. You think of what Flora did. Her first Olympic Games was 2008, and there she is in 2021, right? Finally, a gold medalist. Look at the road that she took and other athletes took to get where they are today. Clarence, Nicki, Saunders is the same way. I was with him, as was Earl, in 2014 at the Glasgow Games. And we had him as his attaché, and he was with us when the high jump went on. And I was standing beside him, and I can't remember who the athlete is, but maybe Earl does. But this young man was very close, and Nicki was scared. He said, oh my God, my record's going to go. My record's going to go. And he said, but records are meant to be broken. Records meant to be broken. But let me tell you, with a sigh of relief when that guy didn't go 236, the chest went out. And he says, I'm still Bermuda gold medalist in the Commonwealth Games. You know, that's great to hear. He spoke to athletes at these games, telling them his experience. Some athletes had some negative thoughts about the BOA. And I know that because I was right there. And Nicki turned around and said, young man, do you know in 1991, for what I had to go through to get there, what the BOA tried to do for me? They did the best they could at the time. It's not about take. You've got to get yourself there, and then they will support you the best way. This young generation today wants more, but don't want to do more for themselves. So what I mean by that, these youngsters who go off to university, college, who get all their kit given to them, they have no idea what it takes to get the kit that we have today, which was a high priority for me, and the cost associated with that. And we can't get a sponsor for kit because there are restrictions on logo requirements. You're talking about thousands and thousands of dollars. So when Nicki told this young person, all I got from the BOA was my tracksuit, he had to sit back and say, oh, okay, cool. You know? So a lot of these athletes have no idea what it takes to get them to where they are. I'm proud of the executive board. I'm proud of every volunteer subcommittee who's worked hard to ensure that the Olympic movement for Bermuda is moving forward at all times. And I think these are great times. I'm happy with what I've done. Have I had tough times? Absolutely. Have I made some tough decisions with the board? And I've never made a unilateral decision. Never once. I do not believe that, because at the end of the day, my name's at risk here, but I'm also representing the Bermuda Olympic Association. So any decision made has always been a collective decision, which we hope was in the best interest for all concerned.
We're going to take another quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll have more with the president of the Bermuda Olympic Association, Judy Saunders.
The use of butter goes back millennia, and its exalted status in the cooking world and in so many kitchens is undeniable. Around 3,000 years ago, ghee, or clarified butter, was developed in India and is the cooking oil of choice in many regions of the subcontinent, and compared to butter has a higher smoke point, reduced dairy solids, and a more robust, nuanced flavor. And to Organic Valley, creators of a certified organic version of this versatile traditional staple. This month we're featuring Organic Valley Ghee Clarified Butter. Lindos, why go anyplace else?
My inspiration to write this book has to do with empowering. I want people to understand what it looks like when you are in a position when you don't have the tools around you. If you know me or don't know me, the game, the beautiful game of football, soccer, is and always was a way out. Still fearful on what to do, what would happen if I say something.
What can we do in this book to incorporate tools to help specifically our group of young people in Bermuda?
Could you imagine doing a read with little people and breaking everything down for them and having them to have a voice and having conversation pieces, if it's chapter by chapter?
And welcome back. Judy, over your time as the president, there's been many changes to rules, regulations throughout the IOC, as well as CANOC and all the regional
Pan Am,
yeah. Just working through some of that, because you've sat on different committees as well. Just working through all of that, how challenging could that be as a person who's got a full-time job, but sitting on these committees, trying to help change the I guess the dynamics of sport?
Yeah. First of all, I have to publicly say that I have been extremely blessed by my employers, my colleagues who have supported me through this entire journey, because if it wasn't for them, I don't think I probably would have achieved what I have achieved. So having your employer's support was fundamental to I think a lot of my success. I think one of the things that I wanted to achieve was one of the mistakes, and I say mistakes, that I thought organizations did over several years was only invite presidents and secretary generals to sit on commissions and then also attend all the annual general meetings. That's wrong, because if you look within every NOC, you have quality people with certain expertise who can contribute not only to your own organization, but to the regional meetings. So one of the things that I really endeavored doing when I became president, and I had good relationships with the president, and I still do to this day with Pan Am, Commonwealth, I say to the presidents, look, I have people within Bermuda, NOC, who can contribute to the development of the region, whether it's in the technical side, whether it's on the ethics side, or sports administration. And I'm proud to say that the likes of Katura, Horton Parent Chief, David Subert, and a few others are currently sitting on boards that I put their names forward. And that says a lot for Bermuda. And I get reports back to me saying, wow, these people contribute a lot and make a big difference. And I think that's and the IOC had kindly asked me for a number of years to sit on their education committee, because I think they're interested in how do small countries such as Bermuda operate with the Olympic movement. I've sat on the ANOC commission with marketing. I'm currently the vice president of the Americas for the Commonwealth Games, and I'm presently a director still on the Central American and Caribbean Board. I do that at a risk sometimes to make sure that the small countries are heard for everybody, not just Bermuda, but for everybody. And the biggest problem that I see in the Commonwealth, or even sometimes in Panama, we have what we call team calculators when you're organizing who goes. You know, small countries get shafted sometimes because these big countries, they're all qualified. And I'm saying, well, wait a minute here. You know, we historically, nearly in every festival have 5 disciplines representing the Bermuda Olympic Association and Bermuda at large. That has something to be said. And they talk about it as per capita, and that's BS in my opinion. So my thing is, everyone should get their just rewards. And I want to ensure that small countries get a fair shake of representation at a quality level. So that's one of the things that we have done extremely well with our standards committee, who've worked extremely hard and are diligent in following every elite or athlete who has a chance to represent Bermuda, what they do over a 4-year period. So they reach that pinnacle so that hopefully when they get there, they do a PB, national best, or podium. And when you do that, you can't ask for anything more. And I think other countries are buying into that at the same time. It's hard work, but when you've got a dedicated committee, executive board, and commissions that the Bermuda Olympic Association have, I'm very proud of what everybody has done to move this organization forward.
Sure. Jay?
Man, I'm so glad that you're being a voice for these small countries, because we see it all the time and across the board when it comes to sport.
It's not easy.
They get shafted.
Yeah.
But on your way out, 2-part question here.
Okay.
What would be a little nugget of wisdom for the incoming administrator, and a little nugget of wisdom for today's athlete going forward, dealing with the climate that we're in?
Yeah, I think from the administrative part, whoever the leader of the Bermuda Olympic Association is, maintain accountability and transparency throughout all the partners within the Olympic movement. Maintain an open door policy. And that's a 2-way street. So the national governing bodies, they also need to play their part. So when somebody asks something of them, there's a responsibility to give back, because we can't be all things to all people. So I think whoever the leader is, if they maintain the openness and transparency, and continue to build relationships with their partners, they'll do an excellent job. continue to work with the ministry. The ministry has a tough job. I just see in the paper they're talking about a lottery. I've thought a lot about a lottery. I don't know how long ago, but when you look at the population and what it would take to have a meaningful lottery, I'm not sure how that would work, but I've always thought about that. Don't be afraid to say you're wrong when you are wrong. Never be afraid to say you're wrong. Admit your mistakes, learn from them. Respect your partners around the table, ask their advice, and you can't go wrong. For an athlete, it's difficult. I think, once again, we talked about it earlier. People want to emulate people. I honestly, when I look at the number of Olympians that we have in our country, they need to get back into their own organizations and talk about their success of where they are today, how they got there, and try and help these youngsters reach their goals. Olympians need to give back to their NSGB and even to the Bermuda Olympic Association, with all due respect, even to the Bermuda Olympic Association, because they got where they were because of what the Olympic movement did for them. And I would like to think that they should give back that same to the athlete and to the administrators.
Yeah, I think it's just very important. And Earl myself has talked about it numerous times.
Mm-hmm.
We're always waiting for somebody else to tell our story.
Yep. That's right. You're absolutely right.
Waiting for somebody to come here to tell our story.
Yeah. And I think, why not brag about yourself? Why not? You've done it. Yeah, you did all the hard work. You got there. And I think if somebody takes one little piece of pearl of wisdom out of what you've said, you've achieved something.
Yeah.
You've achieved something. Yeah.
From an administration standpoint, what are some of the things you think you're going to miss?
I'm going to miss it all, Earl, to be honest. Look, the camaraderie, the arguments, everything. I loved working with my executive team. The office staff were wonderful. And people don't just look at the executive board. You have to look at what's behind the executive board. We have a great office staff. Really, one full-time and two part-time, well, two full-times, because Bramwin is a full-time administrator, and two. The work that they go through to assist the executive boards and the commissions to get our athletes out there and our teams overseas, that you cannot commend them enough. I'll miss it, but I said to the executive board last night, which was my last executive meeting, I'm here if you need me. I'm not closing the door. Sport has been a passion of mine since I was 7.5 years old. And if I can help in some way, the Olympic movement, I'm still here for them. And as I said, I'm still sit on the Commonwealth and the Central American and Caribbean. So my hand's still in it. And I've told my partners, Pan Am, Commonwealth, that if the NOC Bermuda sees at the end of my term, which will be 2023, good enough to put my name forward, I'm more than happy to represent the Bermuda Olympic Association and our country in these meetings. It has been an honor and a privilege to serve the BOA and the country. As I said, not only as an athlete, a coach, and administrator, it's been wonderful. And I've gotten so much out of it. I love it to death.
What can we do to change the perception that people have that the Bermuda Olympic Association, the executive committee, are only there every 4 years just for the Olympics, when they can't be no more further than the truth? How can the administration change that perception through the NOCs or NSGBs to spread that message? Because there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah, I think one of the things that there are a few things that have been bantered about, and you'll probably see is the branding of the Bermuda Olympic Association name. Getting the message out to the public and educating the public about who we are and what we do. There's conversations about having seminars to help educate. Maybe that's, do some marketing to help. How can corporate Bermuda and the Bermuda Olympic Association work together to improve, make our image even better, So that's going to take time. take a little bit of money as well. But I think whoever leads that charge will do a good job. And it's just a question of educating Bermuda, what the Bermuda Olympic Association is all about, what we do, the reason why we do it, and how they can assist us move forward. And that's something that if I've not done well, I'll admit to that, because you can get caught up in taking a step forward and then ending up taking 3 step backs because curveballs are thrown at you. So I think getting our image up there and marketing us better to help get support from corporate Bermuda, I think is a big plus. And I think the athletes themselves, I'm not techie at all, and Earl knows this, is this Instagram and whatever else they got going on. They are the best people to market themselves, not the Olympic movement. I don't want to even know about Instagram. But I understand that is the technology of today, and they are the people who are best to market themselves and the Bermuda Olympic Association.
Sure. We're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, Jay, you can jump right in. Okay.
John Barrett and Son, Bermuda's leading distributor of fine beverages, have brought us something fresh and exciting this month. Mystic Juices, skillfully blended for captivating flavor and loaded with nutritional value. Mystic Juices not only taste remarkably good, one serving will supply an abundance of vitamins A and C, more than the certified measure needed to meet your daily requirements. This month we're featuring delicious and nutritious Mystic Juices in an enticing range of flavors in 64 and 16-ounce bottles. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
My inspiration to write this book has to do with empowering. I want people to understand what it looks like when you are in a position when you don't have the tools around you. If you know me or don't know me, the beautiful game of football, soccer, is and always was a way out. Still fearful on what to do, what would happen if I say something.
What can we do in this book to incorporate tools to help specifically our group of young people in Bermuda?
Could you imagine doing a read with little people and breaking everything down for them and having them to have a voice and having conversation pieces, if it's chapter by chapter?
Jay?
Okay, so let's go back to that last little line you made, because for me, that's, and I don't know, that's one of my pet peeves when we come to all our sports here on the island. The marketing of our athletes, the marketing of our sports. Obviously, when you came into your position, the media landscape has changed 180 degrees.
Yeah.
Once upon a time, it was a one-stop shop, which was either print, radio, or TV. And that was basically, you hit those three spots, it was done. The inclusion now is social media, all the different platforms. It's made it difficult for some.
Yep.
Because if you're not, like I said, technically inclined, it becomes challenging. But it's helped others because it doesn't take the cost that you would to get a TV commercial, this, that, and the other, to be played. Same money to get it produced, but not to get it pushed out. Athletes now they can actually have a voice of their own now.
That's right, exactly.
And you see not just athletes around the world, but also actors and actresses create their own brand and make money off their brand. So it helps everybody. So I think what you're saying, and this, like I said, hopefully the next person comes along, really takes a closer look at the marketing, not just of the association, but each individual athlete, because if we can follow the story, it's going to relate to somebody else.
That's right. That's
Even
right.
if it's one person, we mentioned earlier, it was one other person, then that could be our next Olympian.
That's right.
So
That's right.
I just think now is a time that we should take, we're on StreamYard. Okay, well, a year ago, it was Zoom,
Yeah.
These platforms will keep changing.
Right.
But we would have been doing this 3 years ago. You'd have called Earl and you'd give him a story and he would have wrote it.
Yeah. I mean, as I said, I'm not technically inclined. I've got there's people who are on the board who are savvy for it, and it's been a topic of conversation. And I think one of the things that the new president will do is look at the structures of these commissions and bring new people on who are skilled in specific areas in social marketing. I think that's one of the things we have to do is, and maybe we need to, when you go outside the box, is not just look at athletes, even though I would like athletes to be involved if they have the skill set. But if you have a volunteer in the corporate world who's willing to give to do the marketing or whatever else is needed, I'm sure the executive board said, yes, please come on board. Yes. I think the committee is also considering maybe looking at somebody part-time in the office so that when something happens, there's a response straight away. And unfortunately, you're going to have to consider paying for that individual because someone's not going to sit at the desk and do it for love. And I understand that, and I respect that. Everybody has to eat in the whole 9 yards. So the dynamics are changing on a daily basis, and it's very difficult to keep up with. But I think as I come to an end, we recognize what needs to be done. It's been talked about, and I think the platforms are being set to how we move forward to branding not only ourselves, but athletes themselves. And we've agreed that this whole Instagram situation, they do a wonderful job. And somebody told me the other day, there's so many hits. Well, all I know what that means is somebody's read something. But it's great. It's not my cup. It's not my cup of tea. And I've told everybody that. But if that's what it takes to get going forward, let's go for it.
You have a follow up, Jay?
No, you know what? I'm done. I'm done. You gave me enough for one night. I was once again just want to say thank you.
Look,
and don't go nowhere. Please don't go nowhere. Hang around a bit, okay?
Well, I have to say, when Campbell passed, somebody came to me and said, so? And I said, and? I said, what are you trying to say? And I said, thank you very much. I'm flattered. But you can overstay your welcome, eh? 25 years in an organization is nothing to be sniffed at. I'd like to think I've done a good job and I've moved the organization forward, but change is important. I've told the executive and don't worry, Jason, I told the executive board last night, if I'm needed, I'm there. And because I loved what I did over all these years. And let's just support whoever comes in, and let's hope everything moves forward in the right direction, which I'm sure it will do if we're all true to form. Change will definitely happen. There's no two ways about it, because every new president has an idea of who should do what, when, and where, and you have to respect that. So I just made it easy. I made it difficult for somebody to I haven't seen anybody's name come forward yet for December 9th, but the deadline is the 25th of November for nominations to be in. And I will support whoever is in the chair and give them my all if asked to do so.
Thank you.
I know on the night of the 9th,
yeah,
it'll be kind of an emotional for you.
Oh God, you know that.
Yeah, the journey, the ups, the downs, they'll all come rushing back.
Yeah.
But when that night comes, what will you want Bermuda to know about Judy Simons, the president of the Bermuda Olympic Association?
I did my best. I gave it my all. And I thank those who have supported me on my journey. Earl, that's not fair, because I'm not into that sort of thing. I did my best.
I thought I would put you on the spot for that.
You did. I did. I did it because I love sport. Mm-hmm. And I hope people respected me for that. And I know I didn't please everybody, and I understand that, and I respect their opinions. But I gave it my very best over 25 years for the good of development of sport in general in Bermuda. And it's been an absolute honor and a privilege to serve this country and the Bermuda Olympic Association.
Sure. If there was one standout moment at any festival throughout your 25 years, what would that one moment be?
Well, I've cried at many of them.
Yes, I've seen that.
I've seen that. You can't help but say Flora winning the gold medal. I mean, as you know, Earl, in the pouring rain, and I can tell you what was flashing, because I was there in 2012 when she slipped off the bike because of the weather. And as you know, we were all under whatever we were under. And I kept saying, please, God, don't let anything happen. I have never seen Flora compete so well. And it was the most inspiring moment of my life. But then I've seen youngsters come to the fore, you know, young Hopkins boy winning a medal at the 2017 Youth Commonwealth Games in Bahamas. And look where he is today. There's a lot of highlights that I've had the privilege to say, but Flora crossing that line, calm, cool, and collected with her emotions and our emotions has got to be the greatest highlight of my life.
It had stopped raining by that time, but it started raining all over again.
Yeah.
But it started raining all over again with tears.
I've had a lot of privileged moments. I have had a lot of privileged moments, but to end my career at the Bermuda Olympic Association saying we have a gold female medalist, you can't beat that.
This was the team that was in Tokyo.
Yeah.
The night after, was it the night after Flora won?
Yep.
Or 2 nights after Flora won?
That was our team celebration. Yeah.
Yes, at a hotel. Just reliving some of those moments of what
Unbelievable.
What Dara was able to accomplish, what Flora was able to accomplish, what Bermuda has been able to accomplish over the many years of competing at these games. I think it's a remarkable feat that all of us should be proud of, and encourage those athletes who are coming along to also reach those higher standards, to aim high, to not just want to compete, but want to get to a podium, want to be the next Flora, want to be the next Clarence Hill, want to be the next person to claim a medal for Bermuda. Not just a lot of people will say, oh, well, we don't have a silver yet, so let somebody go try and get a silver. No, we want another gold.
Well, in 2010, I can tell you this was a highlight because I was supposed to have been in Marraquez, Puerto Rico for the CAC Games, but Campbell got called to Boston to have a kidney transplant. And I got a call from Philip Gachard. I had to take the phone off my ear. We've won gold. We've won gold. So Tyrone Smith, and football teams and bowling teams have done us proud throughout the history of our sports. And going back, we've not recognized them properly enough for people to emulate and continue. And I don't know if the minister or director's listening, but I think it's a conversation that needs to be had to when you look at, we've won medals. We have won gold medals. We've won silver. We've won bronze. And we've not done anything to recognize these athletes over all these years. And I think if you go into the archives, you'd be shocked how many medals we've won during this tenure of ours.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Madam President, we want to wish you all the best in your semi-retirement, because you're not going too far away.
Yeah.
There will be some new things on the horizon for you. We know you're not one to stay home, so you'll find some new challenges to take on.
I'm sure I will.
Yeah. And again, if administrations are looking for assistance, guidance, help in any way, I know you'll be right there willing to lend that assistance.
I'm more than happy to help wherever I can if I have the time to do so.
Sure. Well, folks.
Thank you both very much.
Not a problem at all. Jay will be back with another edition of the Administrate Sports Show next week, Wednesday.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Well, I should be settled in by then.
And I should be settled in by Ramby.
Yes.
Yeah.
We will both be in different locations than the ones we are in right now.
Yes.
But yes, we will have another edition of the Island Stat Sports Show. Madam President, thank you very much. And to all our viewers, have a good night.
Night. Thank you very much.
Okay.